Uh, uh, I think people read your book incorrectly who come to the following conclusion, but let me, in any event, state the conclusions they come to. Namely, that you oppose efforts, political efforts, to give equal opportunity, which in fact you do not, correct?
Yes.
What you oppose, as I understand it, and as your book very plainly states, is any preferential treatment that disguises objective standards. Is that correct?
Yes, and particularly since the net effect of the preferential treatment, which is preferential in intention more so than in results, is that those blacks who are particularly disadvantaged have fallen further behind under these policies. That such policies have typically benefited those blacks who were well off, who became better off. And this is true also in other countries. In India, there's a program in Bombay, and someone who wrote about this commented that this program is for the benefit of the clerks, not the coolies. But that's been true in general, and that's what's true in the United States. That it's not the coolies that benefit, it's the clerks that benefit, who then aspire to higher occupations. For example, blacks who have relatively less work experience, lower levels of education, black female-headed families, all these groups have fallen further behind during a decade or more of affirmative action. Black female-headed families have had an absolute decline in real income over this span and have fallen further behind white female-headed families. At the same time, black couples who are both college educated earn higher incomes than white couples who are both college educated. So that this whole program makes it, provides incentives to hire blacks who are safe. Therefore, one will make some effort towards one's quota, but one will not take in people who might not progress enough for their promotions and discharge patterns to satisfy the government. So you make it risky to hire average blacks and more desirable to hire blacks who have not privileges, but advantages.
Well, now, do you ascribe to the programs of the past 10 years that polarization? Because if so, how does that account for the apparent correlation between those families, those black families that do not do well, and the vastly increased number of one-parent black families?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, during the past 10 years, we've had affirmative action. Mm-hmm. We have also had we've also had a rise of between 21 to 37% of families, black families, that have a single parent.
Yes.
I.e., there's been a desertion by the male,
mm-hmm.
by the father.
Yes.
Now, is that a part of the welfare program, or is that entirely coincidental? And to what extent is that the socially causative factor of the phenomenon you're describing?
Well, if I limit my description just to families that are female-headed, and I compare blacks and whites, then within that comparison, I see that the blacks are falling further and further behind. Yet if I pick almost any measure of more advantaged families, I find the blacks not only catching up, but in some cases overtaking and passing the whites. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of ways you can look at it and you get the same result. And what that suggests to me is that those blacks who have the skills, the experience, the education, and so on, are finding things much, much easier than ever before, whereas those where there's a risk involved in hiring them, the people aren't going to take that risk. I've seen her explain to me very explicitly in the case of women, and I suspected they wanted me to draw the same conclusion with respect to blacks. Universities have said, people at universities have said to me, we will not hire a woman who, for assistant professor, unless we're sure she's going to make an associate professor, because the cost of legal processes in case she doesn't is so high. I remember telling this to a woman who was a full professor to see what response I would get.
A black woman?
Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And her response was, yes, that's the way I hire, because I also have no time to waste at the EOC and in the courtroom.
So therefore, they don't get the same running chance. The
That's
white
right.
students. The white,
if you're going to hire someone mediocre,
do.
the employers are safer hiring
mm-hmm.
mediocre whites who can be thrown out if they don't work out, mm-hmm. without any repercussions.
Mm-hmm.